All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Blacklivessavelives Spotlight interview. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Moses West. Honestly, I found out about Mr. West sitting around the firehouse reading up some articles, and I came across some articles in regards to water. And I read about this machine that Mr. West has formulated that is pulling water out of the atmospheric pressure and turn it into water that we can all drink. And so we'll talk about that today and kind of debunk that myth of, some of you may have heard how, people predict that we may run out of water, but after talking to Mr. West, I don't believe that to be true at all. So how you doing, Mr. West? How you doing tonight?
Doing very good. Yourself?
Pretty good. Like I said, again, thanks for taking some time out of your day. Reading up on you, you seem like a pretty busy man. So just to start off, you can formally introduce yourself. Tell us, your name, where you came from, what you do now, and what your vision is.
Okay. My name is Moses West. I'm the only manufacturer of atmospheric water generators in the United States. All American made equipment. Contract them out to the United States military, and I build them, take units and use them in emergency relief efforts and providing water to disenfranchised neighborhoods where they have water contamination issues. And that's what I was doing up in Flint, Michigan, and on an emergency relief effort. I did that in Puerto Rico on the island of Vieques.
Very nice, beautiful. So sounds like you're a military veteran. So can you tell us about time served and tours completed?
Sure. My screen keeps going white. It's I joined the military in 1981, and I was commissioned as a second lieutenant of the United States Infantry. So I'm an infantry officer, cross rifles guy. The units that I served with the Second Armored Division. I actually served in the Second Armored Division under Patton's son, Patton Jr. So that was pretty historic. I've also served with the 4th and the 7th Cavalry. That's Custer's unit. I served with them in Korea as an Aero Scout pilot. I served with the 180th Aviation Company, 45th Trans, the 101st Airborne Division, 2nd Infantry Division, the Indian Head Patch. So I did quite a bit when I was in the military. I started out as an infantry officer, like I said. I'm a school-trained ranger of the 75th Ranger Regiment. My class is 8114. If you want to look me up, just look that picture up. I'm the tall guy standing in the back holding the flag. That's me. 8114 is the class. Airborne qualified, air assault qualified. I went to flight school, became a Aero Scout pilot. That's an air battle captain, directing the battle from the air, directing helicopters, fires, rockets, all that. Pretty dangerous job. Got out of that and flew Cobras at the same time as well. Wanted to do something where I got shot at a little bit less. So I went to test pilot school and I became a test pilot. That's where I get my engineering background, because I know how to take an aircraft. You can lay it out in the field with all the parts. I don't care what it is. And I have a crew. I can put it together if you give me the manuals, and then I can take the aircraft out and fly it, make sure it's still good. I'm a commercially rated, multi-engine 12.5 commercial pilot. I don't fly anymore. I could if I wanted to, but I don't want to.
Okay.
And that was my military career. And then I ended up flying the CH-47 cargo helicopters. I got out. I was an information systems engineer, worked for a large retail company in the United States. And then I left the United States in the late 1990s, and I came back in 1998, and I left in 2001. And I've only been back for the past 8 years. I've spent more time living outside the United States than in it. Oh, and I was raised in Europe.
Okay, so yeah, you were one of the examples of when people say I've done more than my first X amount of years than you've done in your lifetime. Sounds like you really dove into the mantra of, living life to the fullest, and gotten your hands on a lot of things and had a lot of different experiences. So my next question was going to be where you're from, and what was your family dynamic? Was it brothers and sisters, big family, small family, and how'd you get all the way in Texas?
Born in Georgia in 1958. My father married my mother, and when I was born, we went straight to Germany. I went to Germany as a toddler. My family in Georgia and Alabama is large. I have two sides of my family. I'm actually one of 14 brothers and sisters, blood related to me. I'm the oldest boy, and I'm in the middle of everybody else.
Very nice.
So, huge family, over 1,000 people in Georgia that are directly related to. Then we have some folks up in Detroit as well that live up there. My father-owned company's up there. My biological father-owned company's up there, and it's very dynamic. Yeah, it's a very dynamic family, and a wide range of places of learning, living experiences from Europe to the South to the Southwest.
Absolutely. Do you come from a military family? What inspired you to get into the military initially?
My father.
Gotcha.
My father did. Yeah, when I was that's all I knew. When I was a child, I grew up. When I grew up, I know I look younger than I am. Trust me. But I grew up in the rubble of World War II. I was playing as a child in the bombed out buildings of World War II. I still remember that. Never forget it. Never forget it.
You were overseas during World War II, or where were you?
I was there. I was in Germany. The Second World War ended for Germany in 1945. They were defeated, but the country was so destroyed. It took all the way until the fall of the Berlin Wall in the 90s for the country to get rebuilt.
Gotcha.
That place was destroyed. It'll teach you. It'll actually show you that you don't want to go to total war.
Absolutely. Yes, you got a lot of perspectives, and we're gonna probably just touch on the tip of the iceberg now. But I don't want to keep you for 6 hours, so we'll keep moving. So.
Oh, I don't mind. It's the time of COVID. I got time on my hands.
Okay, well, appreciate it. So from military, while you're in the military, you kind of took on the specialty of engineering. So what kind is it, mechanical, or I'm assuming mechanical? You talked about a plane and taking it apart and putting it back together.
On the mechanical side, the engine side, on compressions, hydraulics, avionics, definitely all the above. But then also on the infantry side of the house, we had we fielded I was within the 2nd Armored Division. We're the first unit to field the Bradley, the Abrams fighting vehicle. Alpha Company, 1st of the 41st Infantry, 2nd Armored Division, 1982, 83. We got the first Bradley fighting vehicles in. And so the technical in the military, if you look at the military of the 21st century, they want everybody to have definitely a high technical IQ. And as a kid, a lot of the things that I know I'm self-taught on. And the patents that I have that have been issued to me, it's not really something that I learned in school, but it's what I've taught myself. So I've actually created a whole area of study for my benefit to build this equipment. So we can learn from a university, like when you learn physics or algebra, but someone structured that over centuries.
Right.
But there's also things that you can still discover today that work, that can become your own course of study. And I kind of proved that by patenting things that no one's done before and improving on a technology that no one had really touched since Birdseye created, the HVAC system, the refrigeration cycle system. So I'm making improvements to it because everybody left it alone for 80 years.
So you kind of took those theories and ran with them per se. So, so post-military, well, obviously, did you work as an engineer in a traditional sense of working for a company, or did you kind of dive right into building these machines?
Well, yeah, I did. I worked as an information systems engineer, worked on computer systems and new programs, programming and programs in the retail arena. I wasn't my forte. What I did see was I started getting chubby is what happened to me, sitting down at a computer terminal all that time. And after that, I retired. I was injured in the military, and this job was kind of interim. So what I did was I retired. I retired from the military. I retired completely from all work when I was in my mid 30s,
Okay.
and I moved back to Europe.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yep. Moved back to Europe, stayed in Europe for about 5 years, came back to the States, stayed in the United States for about a year and a half, and then I went to Australia. Stayed in Australia for 11 years.
So yeah, you said you did live out of the country more time than you lived in the country, huh? So let me real quick. Let's cover this. Your traditional training. So did you go to any kind of conventional schooling and obtain any kind of conventional degrees, or was all your training done in the military?
Yes, my undergraduate degree, Trinity University, military science, University of the Incarnate Word, public administration, Army War College, quantitative analysis, and then all the rest of my formal training is in the is done in the military, hands-on. I think one of the neatest jobs I had, or most interesting, I can talk about it now, is past the time of top secret clearances. I was an atomic demolitions and munitions officer. As a high speed, low drag ranger, hardcore. I was a man portable nuclear weapon guy.
So you knew how to detonate them, or you tested them? You gotta break that down for me.
What atomic demolition officer's job is, you can see all this online. Basically, what your job is they take a special ops kind of person, a ranger, an infantry person who's skilled in escape and evasion, physically fit enough to do the job. It's a little man portable nuclear weapon about the size of a garbage can. And in Europe, they have bridges every so many kilometers. And what your job is you jump in, and at the end of the bridges, they have these places that with a little manhole cover. You pop it up, you set your weapon down in there, you set your little timer, and you try to get away as far and as fast as you can.
Wow. Okay. So
and this, what it is to do is to destroy the bridge, dirty up the whole area so bad that no one can exist in there because the radiation levels will be so high. And then you hope that you can get back to your lines.
Yeah, before the radiation or the enemy gets to you. So
you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it.
So then, with that being said, what kind of special accommodations do you got? How many medals you got?
Just your basic military service medals, Army commendation medals, just the basic stuff. Deployment medals,
Gotcha.
no high honors or anything like that. I think the higher honor is just serving. I can scoop all those together in 50 cents and it'll get me a cup of coffee.
All right. So yeah, let's get into the meat and potatoes. So this machine. So I did a little bit of research, and it sounds like you were inspired while you were abroad by almost like an abbreviated, smaller version of what you're doing now. So talk about what inspires you to really dive into this and build these machines.
Well, everyone we know, if you're a scientist, or you're an engineer, or if you're an ecologist or an environmentalist or water quality specialist, geologist, biologist, you already know that we're in serious trouble. And so over the time that I was traveling the world and going on these great adventures, I got to see places that most of us will never see. And then, great waterfalls, glaciers, underground underground reservoirs of water, and then I got to see great deserts, deserts in the Middle East, deserts in Australia, uh, parts of New Zealand. And every place had something in common. Everyone kept talking about water and how we're going to run out of it. And back here in the state of Texas, there are terrible droughts. And when I saw that machine for the first time, pulling that water out of the air in my neighbor's house, I did have it in my mind that, hey, this water evaporated out of his toilet. Hey, this is his breath. Hey, this is whatever moisture in this place is evaporating, this machine's capturing it. But then that's some of the brilliance behind it. When water's contaminated and evaporates, it's pure than you'll ever get it. It's in the vapor state and it's absolutely pure. It leaves everything behind, and that H2O molecule floats away and goes all the way down to Botswana and comes out of the air.
So you're saying that when water is at the vapor level, it leaves all the contaminants is it because of weight, specific gravity type of deal, or it just separates from whatever it was last year?
That's how elements work. When an element breaks free at the right temperature and something as pure as water, when the H2O molecules get the right temperature and they evaporate, that's all that leaves. Anything else that's with it, the ammonia molecule, the petrochemical molecule, the DDT molecule, that doesn't come with the H2O molecule. That stays down there, and then that makes what we call a toxic soup. If you have water, you know how when you have a big glass of water, a big tank of water, and all the water evaporates, then you notice, hey, the water's getting cloudier, then you see some thick stuff down at the bottom?
Yep.
That's because all those H2O molecules said, see ya, and took off and left that, just kicked it off their backs and flew out. So what this machine does, all it does is invites them in, makes a nice surface for them at the right temperature. They collect onto it, a whole bunch of them gather together, then it starts raining.
And so basically took that theory and made it grand. So talk about so you were inspired by your neighbor, and then where did you go? Did you go back to Texas and said, hey, I'm going to start working on this? Where did you start? Where was your first machine incepted?
Back in Texas, what I did was I tried to find investment to get this idea I had about putting all these machines together and making industrial quantities of water. But everywhere I looked, because I first of all thought that little machine, you could make a big one. When I started looking for those big machines, I did find them. I found them in China, Indonesia, Japan, Korea, found a couple in Europe. But the best one I found was from a company that was operating kind of loosely down in Spain. And I got that machine and brought it back to the States, got an investor, and I tweaked that machine until it got it to the place where I wanted to get it. And then after that point, that part of the company broke up, and then I had to redesign all the technology myself and patent my own equipment. I had patents for that. And then that's when I started to find new methods to produce water with this machine and decrease the energy consumption, but at the same time, increase the size of the machine, because there's a limit to the size of the machine because of energy. You don't want to have the water costing more than fuel.
Gotcha.
So we had to figure it out. And in the course of all this, I figured it out. I added another stage to it. And right now, it's like any other technology, they'll eventually catch up to me. But right now, I'm the only person in the world who knows how to actually do this.
And so your energy source, are you using solar power, diesel? What are you using?
Anything. Look, power is. I always say power is power. If I have 3 wires here, and through these 3 wires, this 3-phase power, right? 3-phase power. You've got 460 volts. It doesn't matter if that 460 volts coming from the grid, from transformers, coming from a generator, or coming from solar panels. It's still 460 volts, 50 hertz. It's still the same. Or 220 single phase. It doesn't matter if it's solar powered, diesel, gasoline generator. Power is power. Or if it's photons from the sun, it's power. So these machines can operate on any electricity.
So it's versatile in that sense of whatever power source.
Yes.
That's what it's going to run off of. So obviously you're a black man in the world, and I imagine that it just wasn't a cakewalk to get to where you are right now. So just briefly touch on, like, was there any pushback? Did anybody try to steal your idea? Was there any? I mean, you got the military backing, and so, you know, I guess, and you have the formal training, so you sound like you're well decorated, you're well educated, but, you know, is there still always a sense of, you know, we would rather not have a black man be the leading source in you know, potable water out of the sky, you know? So any adversity faced in this journey?
Yes. I hate to burst people's bubbles, but let me tell you, there's you go through, even in the military, you go through a denial phase and you say, I'm just like everybody else. But the experiences that you have where you're going to die for a country, but yet you have people that still don't want to let you die for your country because they don't want you to do this job, because this job is too special. We don't want you to fly this aircraft because you are a black man. So we're going to make it so hard for you to do it because this is what you need to do to go fight for the country and die for the country. But since the aircraft is so nice, we really don't want you to fly it. It's some schizophrenic stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. But theft of technology, not wanting to do what I wanted people to do, not listening, the theft of the company, not wanting to be led by a black man. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been in the United States for 8 years. When I left, my intention was never to come back. But this was the place where I knew I could get this done. The events of the past 4 years, and especially of the past year, it has basically, it looked like a big healthy man, but you shot the x-ray through the United States and you saw every cancer, every broken bone, every tumor, every laceration, every broken artery that's in the United States.
Absolutely.
There's a systemic racism here that is palpable. That's absolutely palpable. It is scary, the racism that we have in this country. We have fought it for so long, but something is allowed now for the veil to be brought down. So how I live today at this advanced age, and my mother is alive today, we had a golden age of time when we tried to work things out. But today I find myself being back at a time when my grandfather was alive, of what he had to go through. But luckily, there are enough people that are switched on enough to still realize how wrong that is and try to make it better.
For sure. Yeah, I think we kind of are similar in our metaphors. I call it just like the underbelly. The underbelly of the United States has just been exposed, and it's pretty dirty, and it's very selfish. And it's just a matter of history repeating itself. It sucks that, you know, on the basic level of the things we're going through is stuff that we were taught growing up, and you do go through that phase of like, okay, maybe things are better, and then you have those centennial events that show you that, you know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. So what are some strategies, Moses, that you've used to kind of push through and keep pushing that mission and that vision forward?
Have the best attorneys you can find.
Yeah, I believe that.
Have good attorneys. Find your well-educated allies along the way that see you as a human being and not as a piece of property or not as something that is subhuman. They see your humanity. These people, they do exist. They are here and they're everywhere. They're everywhere with us. So you have to find those allies, but I have to be extra careful about who I bring into my life. Even people that you bring in as partners, sometimes you can find out after time that this person is actually racist. That's closet racist. And it slows the process down. But then something such as this with water, yes, there's so many people out there that do not want to see me do this, but with the right allies that I've got on my side, and people know me for doing this for so long now, even working with the state of Texas and the Texas Agricultural Commission, the Texas Commission of Environmental Quality, the Texas Water Development Board, and all the engineers I work with here in the state of Texas. They're great. They're a great group of people. We don't talk religion. We don't talk politics. We need water, and we're going to do this together to get it done.
It's about that.
So that's where common ground, and focus on the mission. Don't focus on what someone looks like or what their gender is or what they pray to.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, during these last 4 years, there's been a lot of despair in regards to just the general good of people. But, you do have to really keep the faith that there are still good people in the world, and that, they want to help other people. And so let me ask you this. You lived out of the country for all this time. You could have just stayed away. What made you want to come back and go through all this to help people? Where's that drive come from?
Your humanity. For goodness sakes, it's like if you're walking through a forest and you find the cure for cancer, but there's just nirvana past that point where you find that cure. It goes to the character of a person. If you're just going to bypass that cure and go to nirvana, or you're going to pick that cure up, or you're going to take it back to the people who are suffering. And so when I found this technology, I said, basically what I need to do is I need to try this. I need to try, because I'd seen enough of the world, and I'd seen enough suffering that comes from not having water, or people killing people for their water, or people killing people for a drink of water. And here's a machine pulling it out of the air. I mean, that's a sure shot ticket to go to hell. If you got the idea in your head, it just popped in your head and you don't go work on it.
Yeah.
So at the time that I found that machine, I saved lives of people in Puerto Rico. I helped people out in Flint. One story is a lady, she couldn't move into her house. I gave her, I think, 500 gallons of water. She'd been homeless for 5 years. She cleaned her whole house and was able to move back in. If I wouldn't have come back here and gone through this suffering to stay here in the United States, that wouldn't have happened. And so my empathy for people who suffer is greater than my concern for myself. If I'm going to die for the United States in war, I'll definitely fight for the people here at home that need it.
I think that speaks grand gestures, just to, just you're wanting to inspire, protect, and preserve. And, I think the big thing that we have to remember, especially in this day and age, is that, some things are bigger than yourself. And, we are kind of in a very, very selfish state of mind right now, where it's all about me, all about what I can do. Look at me, look what I'm doing. And you got to realize that, on the grand scheme of things, we are so small at the individual level. But if you can do something that can help the masses, that's intangible. You're leaving a legacy, and legacies are kind of intangible. That's something you can't hang up on your wall, or you can't put that in your bank account. And so I commend you for that. So let's just talk about, so just for everybody's watching, just to summarize, these machines are pulling water out of the air, and this water is being used for drinking water. And so you gave me a stat the last time we talked, and you said one of your machines is pulling up to 2,000 gallons a day. Which is that's a lot of water.
Yeah.
Since the fire trucks, that's 5 fire trucks worth of water, and that's a lot of water. And so where did you start? It sounds like you started in Puerto Rico. Is that where you first kind of tried to help them out, or did you start in Flint? Where'd your mission start?
Well, my mission actually started with the United States Army. I started out at Austin, Texas, at Camp Mabry.
Okay.
And everything was going great, but then that theft and corruption within the company, and people trying to get rich, that blew that apart. But what came out of that was I had machines. And so the machines, I still sell the machines to the military, but these big machines that I built to show the military the concept of what to do and what could be possible. After I finished filing all the patents for the technology that I built, and then after Hurricane Maria hit, I founded a foundation, and now I have another foundation. I have the Moses West Foundation, and people donated enough money for me to move that machine off that military base all the way to Puerto Rico, set it on the island of Vieques, and just so happened nothing happens. Everything happens for a reason. Tesla was on the other side of the building with a battery, a large Tesla solar battery, 470 kilowatt hours of solar power stored in that battery. This thing was huge. It was nice. It was pretty slick. So you could operate this machine on solar power. So that was the first deployment. The second deployment was when I got back. I took some time, had to design some more machines built for the military. And the second mission was the dream mission, where I wanted to go all the time, was to Flint, Michigan. I can't do these missions all the time. I just can't do them. It's impossible. Too many people need water. But what I've done with these missions is show you what is possible. One man, one machine, and some donations, what can be done. If I have 1,000 of me and 1,000 machines and millions in donations, just think what we could do for everybody around the world.
Yeah, that'd be great. So let's talk about your foundation. So the Moses West Foundation, which is currently, is that a 501c3?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so what can we do for those watching this? What can we do to help?
Just donate. If you right now, I've got 4 idle machines sitting, and then I'm busy with machines that I'm building for the government, for the military. See, that should tell you something right there. If the military is buying the machines,
Yeah,
yeah, all right,
yeah.
you need the machine, okay? So I've got some idle machines sitting. I would like to take those idle machines and put them to work. But to get that machine, if say if somebody out in California just outright bought the machine.
Okay.
Hold on one second. Did I lose you?
Just see there you go.
There we go. And so what I would do is bring you in here, train you on that machine, and send you on your way.
Is there a lot
That's
of
it.
Is there a lot of upkeep to the machine? What do you need training on? Just how to operate, how to keep it powered up, basically?
Yeah, how to turn it on, look at it, clean the filters.
Gotcha. And so
It's I made it. What I do is when I get with my engineers, when we sit down at the table to build a machine, I say, here's what I want. I want 8th grade, 7th grade, 6th grade, 5th. I want 5th grade. Give me 5th grade. So I can build a machine that a 5th grader can operate.
So
if I say senior in high school, it's going to be more difficult.
Gotcha. So these machines that are sitting idle, the reason that they are not deployed is just the logistics of getting it to where you need it and getting the person trained to keep it operational, or what does the donation help do?
When the donation comes in, if it covers the whole price of the machine, you get to keep the machine and you get it sent to you. Okay. Gotcha. And then on the upkeep of the machine. But the reason everything sits idle right now is because we're getting our teeth kicked in with this COVID virus.
Absolutely.
And we've got, I remember when the hurricanes hit down south, I said, okay, I've got all these machines to go. And a lot of people said, hey, we want you to go. But I was looking at what's going down in Mississippi, and there's people that were like, what would happen to me if I would show up in Mississippi at the end of a hurricane during the middle of all the things that happened this year?
You might not be the most welcome guy in the town. So
exactly. And it's like that's
yeah. Interview, but go ahead.
Let's see, that's what's happening right now. So when we go into an area now, say if you donate for a machine, I would definitely want whoever's going to operate that machine, come here, do the social distancing. The plan is huge. Teach you how to operate the machine, put the machine on your truck, you go do the job, but go in force. Go in force with like-minded people to go into the area to help, because right now, you're not getting much news or information out of lots of places around the United States. I don't think they're doing very well, but we're going to need more of these machines before the end of next year, going into next hurricane season.
Okay. Has like these big charitable places like Team Rubicon, Red Cross, anybody reach out to you to like? Not at all, huh? You think that's a lack
Not
of
at all.
or a choice?
I don't know, but here, let me explain. Let me tell you about this. There's a movie that just came out, and it was about Flint. And it was about Flint, and it was about this water crisis. And it came out since I was there with this machine. So while they were filming this machine and everybody was pulling out the solar panel that made water, pulling out the machine that filtered water, pulling out the bottled water, the guys in the 4th Ward in Flint, Michigan were still giving out hundreds of gallons of water a day from a machine sitting in the middle of the field in the 4th Ward. And it never got any attention. But it wasn't about the attention. My job was to make sure the people in the 4th Ward had water.
Absolutely. So, I mean, this is a kind of a cliche question. Would you say that's the most gratifying part of what you're doing right now, is just giving water to people, which is basically essential to life? We need water, we need sugar, and carbohydrates. So, what do you feel like you inspire? Are you interacting with these people that you're giving this water to, or do you kind of just set the machine up? And
Oh,
I've seen a lot of pictures on the website, so it looks like you pre-COVID you were right there, and you talk about how you like you're a hands-on kind of guy. So, when you deploy this machine, are you down there for as long as you can be? Are you talking to these people? How does that work?
yeah, I'm there. I'm there living. And then it's like, okay, guys, I really got to go back home. So I teach everybody. I taught the guys down there how to operate the machine, how to clean it, clean the filters, get the fuel. And Randy and Otis did Otis Cheatham and Randy Welch's. Those pictures of those 2 big guys down there, they don't like to take a lot of pictures and post it online. Yeah. And pastor over at the church, they did an outstanding job. There was people call me from down there all the time. Like Tina would call me, her family would call me, other people in the community would call me, and they would say, they would thank me for the machine being in operation. We just turned that machine off a couple of weeks ago because it got too cold. Oh. We just took the generator back. That machine has been operating in Flint, Michigan for over a year.
And it's sad.
And nobody said anything about it.
I just heard about it not too long ago before I talked to you. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's people would rather have the bad news about the machine being destroyed, but what they didn't tell you was the men of Flint and myself, we repaired that machine in that field and had it back up and running within a week, supplying water. And then Otis Cheatham and I took Otis all the way to my manufacturing plant in Wisconsin, showed him how to build the new generation of machine, so that if we ever build the machines in Flint, the men of Flint, Michigan know how to build my newest machine.
Okay, so that kind of touches into my next question. So obviously you got a lot of knowledge. So you are, are you planning any programs, any structured things in regards to passing down, or any workshops, or do you kind of just teach on the fly? If if someone needs to use the machine, you kind of teach them there, or do you have a goal of teaching this technology on a grander scale?
Yes, I do. What's going to happen here is we're going to go to California. And when I go to California, I just got a low battery warning. When I go to California, we're going to take this technology and we're going to do the implementation there, and we're going to do teaching there. We're going to teach everybody in California about this technology, how it operates and how to use it, how to use it with solar, how to use it to grow hydroponic fruits and vegetables, how to use it for drinking water, everything, the whole syllabus about it. AC power, direct current power, AC power, inverters, water pumps, water pressure, CFM, water flow, airflow, weights, movements, the whole 9 yards. This is sustainability. This is sustainability 101. The UN said there's 17 tenets of sustainability. With this technology by itself, growing fruits and vegetables, you meet 7. By adding in education and equality, you have touched all 17 of the goals of sustainability set forth by the United Nations.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but
I encourage you guys to look up those 17 points of sustainability, because that's something I'm going to look up after this interview now. So
yeah, the 17 tenets of sustainability.
I got just a couple more questions for you, and we'll go ahead and wrap this up before your phone dies. So you've been all over the world. You've seen a lot of different culture. Do you think the U.S. has the most segregation in regards to racism? Or do you feel like it's something that is everywhere? Because I think about it like in other nations, it's more, and this is just my perspective, it's more like it's a monetary thing. It's more classism where, you know, it's the rich versus the poor versus like, and then you have like the genocides of different religious sectors and things like that. But for the most part, I feel like here is where just the color of your skin, no matter what your, you know, where that color comes from, is what you're basically judged on here. So just real quick touch on that. What do you think from your many travels?
In Europe, I call it regionalism, because I would show up to a place in Europe, and I remember going to a club, and a guy put his hands on his chest, and on my chest, he'd say, "You can't come in." And I would say, "Why not?" And he would say, "Whoa, I didn't know that you were an American." I said, "Well, so what's the difference? I was African." And he said, "Well, we don't like those people from Africa." So in Europe, I would say it was regionalism. Region, what region you come from. As an African American living outside of the United States, people love America outside of the United States because they know more about our history sometimes than we do, but they absolutely love the African American culture, our spirit, our liveliness, our thirst for life, our happiness, our joy. They see how we are and they like that. And but here in the United States, what I see, and when I see racism, I see 450 years of something called chattel slavery. And then from there, you went to the place where you didn't have slaves anymore. So what did you do? You made an industrial prison complex, and you started arresting people for walking on the wrong side of the street, put them back in, put them on shackles again. There's a seething hate in this country that is in the fabric of it, and it has to be fleshed out. The reason we have this problem today is because there's a civil war that we fought. There was a thing called Reconstruction that never was completed. And so the South got to rise its head again. What we see today is a continuation of the Civil War, because you let the Confederate rise again. This hate that we have in the United States is in the fabric, and we need to find a way to flush it out.
Strong.
It's strong.
Yeah.
It's strong. What you do to a human being here for the color of a man's skin is incredible. But for today, to think of this day and time that I have to hunker down and hide on a military base, you know, just because someone wants to shoot me for the color of my skin, they don't know what I've done in my life. They don't have a clue of who I am.
Right.
But just because of my skin, it's incredible. Incredibly living in these times.
Absolutely. It's all right. 2 more comments. First of all, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Has anybody made the correlation that your name is Moses and you're dealing with water right now?
Oh, yes. Yes.
I thought that right away.
Yes, definitely.
How was that? We got Moses is bringing water to the people. And then last thing I ask every interviewee, what does Black Lives Save Lives mean to you, Moses West?
Black Lives Save Lives means to me, we're warrior. We're a warrior class of people. You can see by the way we're built, the way we we do things. And what we need to do is we need to start focusing and taking care of ourselves and each other. But at the same time, everyone else around us as well. We need to be inclusive, take care of ourselves first and foremost, because others won't, and then everybody else around us as well. No matter what nationality, color, or skin, we just need to be more inclusive.
All right. Wise words from a wise man. Thank you so much, Mr. West. You know what? We need like 2 or 3 more interviews because you're pretty interesting. You know, I love all the science. I just have a very top scale knowledge of it. So I would like to learn more. So, you know, you be sure to keep in touch. And
all right.
we will talk to you soon.
Will do. Send me a link.